So today I'm going to be sharing with you the one thing, the single most effective strategy that I have found to desexualize your brain. And recently, about 6 months ago, I put together a video called How I Desexualize My Brain. And I shared a few things that I found to be very helpful. And that video has had over 1 million views, and it's had tens of thousands of downloads on the podcast. But I wanted to go deeper into one specific topic that I don't think that I really covered in depth there. And this is probably the most important piece that helped me to desexualize my brain. And before I get into that, I just want to say it's so funny because I read the comments in that first video, and there were so many guys that were like, this is more purity culture, and like, why would you want to desexualize our brain? Like, we're sexual beings. And I'm not negating that at all. Like, I'll be the first to advocate for great sex. I'm the first to advocate for having fun sexually. Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, for me, my brain had become, and my life had become so inundated with sexual content, and my brain and my mind had become so sexualized that it was hard to focus. It was hard to get work done. It was challenging to just be motivated, because on a regular basis, my mind was just inundated with sexual thoughts and sexual content. And it was more interested, because it had been conditioned that way, like a Pavlovian dog, to go and seek out thirst traps, women that I didn't really want relationships with, but they were giving me sexual attention, porn, right? To go seek out all of this sexual content and not put energy and brain power towards the things that really mattered most to me. And so my relationships suffered, my finances suffered, my health suffered, my mental well-being suffered, my sense of self-perception really suffered, because I felt like I lacked impulse control. I felt like I lacked any type of inner sense of authority of being able to say no to myself. And that was incredibly damaging to my confidence and many other avenues of my life. And so today I'm going to share the one thing that you can do that I found to be the most effective thing. And I call it the digital brain cleanse, the digital brain cleanse. Now, this has 3 parts to it, okay? So there's 3 C's, super easy to remember. You need to cleanse your content, you need to cleanse your contacts, and then you need to cleanse your consciousness. And I would recommend doing it in this order. So you start with content, then contacts, then consciousness. So here's what this looks like. Here's what I did. I first started with my content. I looked at all of my social media. I went through my social media, and I started to do a couple of things. Number one, I tried deleting it, and I just, I was a big Reddit guy. I was a big Instagram guy. I never really got into TikTok, but I started to go through that content, and I started to view content that wasn't sexual in nature. And I would start to unfollow all the people that I was following that, there was some inappropriateness there, in the sense that maybe I was following them because they were a thirst trap, the classic chicks in bikinis with their ass out with the motivational quote in the captions, like the Ernest Hemingway quote in the caption. They're coming out of the pool, and they got their ass sort of sticking out, but they've got but it's okay because they've got the Ernest Hemingway quote. And that's how I would try and justify it whenever, girlfriends in past relationships are like, why are you following that chick? I'm like, she's got good content. She's got great quotes sometimes. But all the meanwhile, it's like, that's not why I was following her. So I started to shift the type of content that I was viewing. And that meant intentionally going on to these platforms, whatever platform it is that you use, and shifting the content that you view. So searching for specific content, unfollowing people that are thirst traps, unfollowing people that you follow because you have some type of sexual connection with them or flirtatious connection with them. It means getting rid of the apps that are inappropriate, right? Maybe you sign out from your OnlyFans page or account if you have one. You block the porn websites that you normally frequent. You go into your social media apps and you clear out all of the crap that you know is sexualizing your brain, right? The women that you follow that you're trying to get with, the women that you follow just because, you know, you want some sexual attention from them, the women that you follow just because you want to, you know, oogle them from afar. Yeah, I just said oogle. That sounds kind of old. Whatever. You oogle them from afar, right? So you go through and you clear out all of your content and you start to get more intentional with your content. Now, for some guys, they're going to advocate for like cold turkey, you know, block the porn, delete all the social media apps. I found that to be too extreme for me. It was challenging and I couldn't stick with it. So what I did instead was I went through everybody that I followed. I just spent a couple hours going through all the people that I followed. I'm like, oh, I've had conversations with her. Oh, we slept together. Oh, we were flirting with one another. You know, delete, block, delete, block, delete, block. And then I actively spent some time going into my social media platforms that I would use and searching for new content. Because again, the algorithm is only going to serve you up what you are watching and looking at. And so if you start to watch and look at more intentional content, then the algorithm is going to start to serve you that. And so I would start to look at like, you know, how to build a shelter in the rain in the forest, you know, or like camping hacks, or how to start a fire without a lighter or matches. And slowly the algorithm started to shift and it would start to feed me that type of content that I ultimately wanted to be viewing that wasn't sexualizing my brain. That's part one. So start to clear out your content. So think about all the platforms. Maybe you do get off of one or two of them. I used to be a big Reddit guy. I got rid of Reddit because I would just go down rabbit holes with that. And I didn't, you know, this not to knock it. I love the platform. I think it's great. But, you know, maybe you do delete one of your social media apps that is very hard for you to not go down sexual rabbit holes. So that's number one, content. Number two, contacts. Go through the contacts on your phone. Go through the contacts on all of your social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, etc., and unfollow or block all of the women that you have sexual interactions or exchange sexual energy with on a regular basis that you know aren't going anywhere, that you're not serious about, that are just a distraction to your life, that you are constantly fantasizing or thinking about. And some of these might actually warrant a conversation. Some of these might actually warrant a conversation of saying like, hey, listen, I'm going to be deleting your number from my phone, and here's why I'm doing this, right? I'm trying to clean up my act. I want to get my life together. This relationship or this dynamic between the two of us is not serving, I don't think, either of us, but it's definitely not serving me. So, you know, I hope you don't take this personally, but be well. And then delete and then block. For some people, you don't need to actually block them, but there are people that you know you need to block. And so block the people that you know you need to block. So go through your contacts. Go through it on Facebook, Instagram, you know, go through it on your phone, the contacts in your phone, and delete and block everybody that you are in a situationship with, whether it's just in your head or that you actually are in a situationship with. The third step is your consciousness, the cleansing of your consciousness. This is what I call autocorrect. So when your mind, because what's going to happen, what you're going to notice is that as you get rid of the distractions in your content, right? Because for a lot of guys, the thought process and the imagery that shows up in their mind that's hypersexual is a result of the content that they are constantly viewing and the conversations that they're having with their contacts, right? And so as you get rid of those two things, what you're probably going to notice is that the objectification out in public, that like little image making machine in your head where you see a hot chick at the gym or at the yoga class or out in the coffee shop, that all of a sudden starts to think like, ooh, she's got a nice this, or I'd really love to do that to her. Or you even start to like, you know, image create in your mind. That part might start to intensify. And so what I recommend for a lot of guys is just an autocorrect process. And that autocorrect process is fairly simple. It's like as soon as you catch your mind going to that space, you shift. You autocorrect yourself into a different thought process. And that can be a number of different things. It can be, looking at something in your environment. It can be shifting your focus to something that's around you, something that you see, something that you smell. It can be shifting your mind to something that you want to accomplish or achieve or build later on in that day, something that you need to do. It can be shifting your mind towards having appreciation for the fact that you've done something in your life earlier that day. Maybe you appreciate yourself for meditation or breath work or going to the gym and working out, but you shift your mind, you autocorrect it from the sexualization in that moment to something that is more aligned with your values and your ethics and your morals in that moment. And it can still be about that woman, right? It can still be like, well, you can shift from sexualizing her to, I really appreciate whatever it is, like how beautiful she is. And that's just maybe it's just an objective truth, but it's an objective truth that's not sexualizing that person. So you autocorrect when your mind and your consciousness starts to create that sexualized content. When you see a woman that you think is attractive, you autocorrect it to something that's more in line with your values. You autocorrect it towards self-appreciation, self-gratitude, something that you need to do. You can go take action on it in that moment, but you move the mind in the direction that you want it to go, instead of allowing your mind to go in whatever direction it has been trained to go. And for some of us, for some of you that are watching this, your brain has been trained to go towards sexual content all the time, every day, and you're just immersed in it. From the time that you wake up and you go on social media, your explore page on whatever platform you're on is just a wash in sexualized content. And so as you cleanse your content and your contacts and the conversations that you're having with those people and your consciousness, you will notice that you have a lot more energy, a lot more focus and attention. You have a lot more room for self-compassion, and you can actually direct your sexual energy towards the women of your choosing versus having this part of your brain and body just fucking hijack you and take it in whatever direction it wants to go. So in this way, you're sort of taming the beast to unleash it. That's an interesting analogy, but you're taming the beast to unleash it and direct it in the places that you really want it to go. So comment below. Let me know what you thought about this. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to man it forward and share it with somebody that you know will enjoy it. And until next time, Connor Beaton signing off.